down. So I'll keep that in mind. I'll let Terrence know that we had this conversation. With Noel's here, he'll let Terrence know also that we had this conversation, that you guys are interested, okay?
Yeah.
It's just for the parenting.
Yeah, the parent cafe that we're talking about.
Okay.
Exactly. So I just want to kind of get an idea how they feel about it. Before we leave here today, we're going to actually talk about the trip that we talked about to the park. That's going to come up. So Noel got some information on that. So we're going to talk about that. We're going to put together a potential date, and then we're going to take it up to Terrence so we all can get in the park and have a good time. That's the time I'll make sure I have the chicken and everything else I said I was going to give you. I'm a deliverer. If you don't notice that right now, I deliver. That's what I do. So I'll make sure we have everything and we'll have a good time, okay? Alright, cool. So what I want to do very quick, because this is the last workshop of this one right here, so first and foremost, I want to thank all of you guys for participating, coming out. I really appreciate it. And it's been a journey. We've been at this for 10 weeks now. Don't even seem like they do it.
No, not really.
It's been 10 weeks. We've actually been at this for 10 weeks. I told you in the beginning, we'll get through it. We're here. So we're going to do a quick recap over, just what we learned throughout the weeks. And the reason why I do this is because I like to teach strategy. The strategy to educate anyone is this. Tell them what you want to tell them, which we said we did in week 1, right? I told it to you throughout the weeks, and then now tell them what you told them. So for managers, this is very important for those that are either a manager or escalating into management. The comprehension works best when you tell them what you're going to tell them, then you tell it to them, and then you tell them what you told them, right? So they'll walk away with a better understanding of what's going on. So, very quickly, let's go ahead and let's hit. So this is going to be the week review. The first week was mental preparation for sustainable living. This is when we was actually just getting our minds right and wrapping our head around our thought process, wrapping our heads around, the things that we need to understand a little bit better. And we did the thought analysis, and a lot of you guys were like, this is one time and done. Don't ever want to go back through that again. But in the thought analysis, what was good about that was it helped you to understand, how did you become the way you became? How did it happen? How did we become this person that oftentimes a lot of us look in the mirror, we don't even like no more? Where did it come from? Or how did we become this successful person? You got a lot of people that's very good at what they do, and they don't even know how it happened. They just, went through the process. If you ask them, show me, they couldn't even really show you. But in the thought analysis, it broke down our neighborhoods, it broke down our schools, it broke down church, it looked at every aspect, our friends' houses, and it looked at the total environment of what we were around and what we were not necessarily up against, but how we learned what we learned. Then we went into the circle of knowledge. In the circle of knowledge, you learn who are you, right? That is the first thing people need to know. A lot of folks don't even know who they are. And if you don't know who you are, how can you demonstrate that to the world? One of the things that I want to tell everyone, and this is very important, the way people perceive you is the way you perceive yourself. And that is true, because out here is nothing but a reflection of how you see yourself in here. Now, I'm going to break something down. I'll get to you right. Don't let me forget. Here's something interesting, right? I just read this in a book. And a gentleman was saying that instead of going, okay, let's say for instance you got somebody that's on drugs and they want to quit, or cigarettes, or some type of drug, and they want to quit. A lot of people, when they first try to quit, they go what? Cold turkey, right? They think they're just going to drop this drug and go over here, and it ends up shocking their body, shocking their central nervous system, and sending them into a downward spiral. You get me? Where it's going to take other drugs in medical terms to pull them out of that to get their head back right. But this is what the gentleman said in this book I was reading. He said instead of doing that, start by changing your mental image of who you are in your mind. This is deep. Remember when I said that people are going to perceive you the way you perceive yourself, right? When I was an alcoholic for 17 years of my life, I seen myself as an alcoholic for 17 years of my life. I seen myself drinking. I seen myself partying. And if anyone would have came to me and said, that's not the way it go, I would have told them, no, you're lying. This is the way it go, because that's the way it went for me. You see what I'm saying? But the moment, and here's the thing, when I went through what I went through, and this is what I shared with people when I shared my testimony, is that when I stopped drinking, I see myself not drinking anymore. And that's when the vision became a reality. Does that make sense? I'm not trying to say I didn't have to do no work. But the real reason I'm not out in them streets still doing what I used to do is because I don't see myself out there in those streets doing what I used to do. So he was talking about changing the actual mental image. In other words, when you want to find out once you identify who you are, you must change the mental image in your mind to reflect that thing that you desire to be. From that, you can understand what is your purpose. From that, that, you can understand why is it important. From that, you can understand how do you become the person that you desire to be. It's all steps. You get me? The majority of us don't have a clue what this is. And like I said earlier, if you don't know what these 6 steps are in your life, then chances are you have a life that's out of control. And that's just the truth. We typically go by any whim, you're walking down the street, somebody get an attitude with you, that throws off your whole day. That's an issue. And a lot of people don't see it. If I walk into a room and just because somebody has an attitude with me, that throw off everything I'm supposed to be doing to have the best day possible. That's a weakness. And all weakness means is the absence of power. There's something going on in me that allowed myself to be put to a point where they can throw me off. Does that make sense to everybody? All right. So now from there, we learn when do you start working toward your goal, right? And where do you start working toward your goal? A lot of people think for some reason that they're just going to be able to go through the training and then when they get out of here, they start working. No, I'm going to show you later in this right here that you must outgrow where you are first before you can go to the next level. That is how you sustain. Does that make sense? Because growth can only happen from a position of truth. And what's the truth? The truth is that in order to get away from here and stay away from here, I must outgrow here. I must do everything in my power here to become who I was created to be. Does that make sense? I must get the skills, the knowledge, the trainings, everything. I must keep applying for housing. And like I said earlier, if housing is your thing, then you have to become a housing master. You will attract whatever you think about. I am graveyard dead serious. Let me tell it to you like this. Me and my wife needed a house, a place to stay. This is the God honest truth. We needed a place to stay. We was looking. I told you about this about Newark, but this actually happened before Newark. This is when we moved into Oakland. So we needed a place to stay. We didn't know where we was going to go, the whole 9 yards. My wife put some feelers out. Next thing you know, we got a call from somebody we didn't even know. And they was like, hey, I heard you looking for a spot. And it came right on time. So all I'm telling you is this right here. Whatever it is that you need, you got to be about it. Does that make sense? And you can't let nobody shake you as to how you believe and what you believe about that thing. You can't wake up in the morning just because it's not going your way, decide, I'm just going to F this day off. You get what I'm saying? Because see, the only thing comes to people that do nothing is nothing. Does that make sense? Right? So if the necessary moves aren't being made, because the thoughts or the attitude is wrong, then it's going to throw off everything. Does that make sense? And see, the thing about this place right here is that you only have a certain amount of time. So you don't have all day. You don't have 2, 3, 4 years or a year or whatever the case may be. So whatever it is you need to be doing, you need to be doing it. You need to be on it. And of course, there's going to be a lot of distractions. There's people here that don't want as much as you want. You talked earlier about, I wish we had other parents when we could all get together and do some things. But, some of these parents aren't that way. So I said to you, identify the people that are, join up with them, and keep yourself empowered so that you guys can move on. Does that make sense? Because honestly, everybody don't want to grow, and contrary to popular opinion, that type of woman don't want to be saved. You get what I'm saying? Everybody don't want to be saved, man. And so you can't save the world. Does that make sense to everybody? Alright, so we went into Walk It Back. So Walk It Back taught us how everything on the planet was created. This is powerful right here. I like to call this $1 million game. Because if you really understand this right here, it would change your whole life. Because the majority of people was grown up thinking that life just happens. Stuff just happens. Nothing just happens in the world. There's always a role that everybody plays. If a person is constantly attracting the wrong things, then they need to look inside themselves and see what it is that's attracting that. You get me? So we talked about how the actual way things go is you think it, you believe it, you do it, you achieve it every single time on every single plane. And this is the thing. You will become naturally good at anything you keep doing. No one on the planet was created to fail. You will become naturally good at anything you keep doing. If you get a person that come here and all they thought is short-term living, then they're going to be very good at short-term living. What does that mean? They're going to go from this facility to another facility to another facility, and they're just going to have that short-term living, even if it's moving into somebody else's house, sleeping on their couch for a while, going to the next and going to the next. Because people on the planet becomes good at what they naturally do. So here's the deal. If you know that, then the flip side is true. So in essence, if there's a challenge or something that you want to do or become, all you got to do is just keep thinking about it. All you got to do is keep believing it, and all you got to do is just keep doing it. And you're going to become good at it every single time. The real reason why people oftentimes do not become good at something is because they quit. It's real, because they quit. They throw in the towel, they quit. We learned that what a person have in this world is determined by what they do consistently. What a person do is determined by what they believe consistently. What a person believe is determined by what they think consistently, and what a person think is determined by what they, what they think consistently. What a person think consistently is determined by their perception of themselves, their environment, or their surroundings, what they learned and how they were treated, which determines their feelings for most people. What they saw and experienced growing up. And that word perception means a way of regarding, understanding, or interpreting, like we said. Your perception of the world is directly related to the way you was treated, directly related to the experiences that you had, directly related to the people that were in your life. It's directly related. All of it goes together. Does that make sense? And if my perception, if my experience was negative, then how is my perception? Negative. And if my perception of the world is negative, then who can help me? Nobody. Nobody can help a person that do not want to be helped. Period. Because the thing is that if it's created in your life, that means you have to create it. No one can create it. I can motivate, I can encourage, I can inspire, but at the end of the day, or anyone can, but at the end of the day, you have to be the one that actually go through the process, create it, and do it. Perception is also a mental impression. It's an image. You see, I said earlier, your perception or your interpretation of you or your perception of you determines your perception that other people believe about you. It determines what people pick up. You know, I decided that this is who I am. I'm a clean-cut brother, so I'm always with my hair cut off, clean, my head clean, my face is clean, my shoes is clean, my clothes are clean, they're ironed, they're pressed. No one has never can say they seen Anthony out looking contrary. Even when I go to the grocery store. No. Because my perception of me is my perception of me. You get what I'm saying? I determine how people see me. Does that make sense? For real. And the thing is this right here. If you know what type of perceptions people are looking for, then all you have to do is create it. What does that mean? When you go in for a job interview, and you already know the perception of what type of people they're looking for, or the interpretation of what type of people they're looking for, then what do you need to do?
You need to create that person.
Create that person. You see what I'm saying? You know one of the ways you really learn how to create the perception of the person the company's looking for? I won't go into questions. I'm just going to say it. Knowing their vision. If you know the company's vision, if you know their purpose, if you know what they do, you get what I'm saying? That gives you an idea on what type of person that they're looking for. If they do any type of extracurricular activities in the neighborhood, if they're one of these type companies that give, you get me? That's what they do. So when you go into the interview, now you're the type of person that give too. You can bring up relative experience of how you gave in the community, the things that you do. Because at the end of the day, they're looking for somebody that can fit what? They're looking for someone that can fit
Into that group.
Does that make sense? Into the group. Exactly. So in week 2, we went in purposeful design life. And the reason I love this so much is because for most people, they have only taken the life that they were given. And you hear it all over and over again. This is the hand I was dealt. How many times have you heard that? A lot. How many times have we said that? A lot. Tupac said it is, that's just the way it is. Those are the terms that we use to say this is how we're given, this is the hand that we were dealt. But the majority of people have never once sat down and designed the type of life that they want. The majority. But then, here's the thing, I'm going to show you a direct correlation or direct connection. The majority has never done that, but the majority are failures. Does that make sense? And this is documented fact. I'm not putting anybody down. A failure is a person that just quit. You get what I'm saying? The majority of people are failures. The majority of people people have never taken the time out to say who are they, have designed their life spiritually, occupationally, emotionally, socially, intellectually, environmentally, and physically. They've never taken the time to say, who am I as a spiritual being? What type of occupation? Like you said, you want to be an entrepreneur, right? The only way you came to that understanding is that you had to dig within yourself and realize what it is you want to do. Who are you? How do you fit into that? Does that make sense to everybody? I'm speeding up. I'm going fast, so let me know if you need me to slow down because we got a lot of information to cover in occupational mind. Entrepreneurial mind. So basically, right, they've never taken the time to do that. So if I don't take the time to define myself, then how will I be defined? The streets. I'm defined by images on television. I'm defined by what mama said, by what daddy said. But what if mama and daddy said you're low down, you're dirty dog, you're this, you'll never account to that, you'll never amount to this. Do you get what I'm saying?
You become that because you don't have nothing in yourself, so you're going to become what everybody else is.
Exactly. I'm glad you speak up because I'm moving too fast and I was supposed to come back to you. Do you remember your thought? I'm so sorry.
It was the first question about where do you see yourself or who do you see yourself?
Exactly.
And
Perception.
I was going to ask you.
Go.
Can you go back to what you first had on the screen?
Okay. Right. It was right here. Oh, up top?
Go up. Go. It was about self something. Basically, it was asking, who are you?
Who are you? Exactly. Right here.
Who are you?
Who am I?
Who are you?
I'm breaking down for you.
And the reason why I asked you that is because I would know which way to go with that question. So if I have an idea of what you're saying, then maybe I have an idea.
Exactly. That comes with a lot of identifying yourself. I identify myself first and foremost as a mental being. I live in my mind. I'm a person that's strong with mind, body, soul, spirit. I'm a guy that knows how to put it together. I am one that fights for my community and I fight for those because I understand that, I don't necessarily want to use the word atrocities or whatever, but I know what we're going through. I know what we're up against. I'm an African. I'm not an African American. I'm an African that lives in America. You get me? Until America gives us the so-called status of an American, then I'm just an African. That's who I am. You get what I'm saying? I'm out here in these streets every single day fighting for the cause of helping my sisters to get built up to go. Because at the end of the day, if the sisters not built up, then the men will never be built up. The men will never be built up because it is the woman that drives it all. And a lot of people don't understand that. You get me? So, yeah. So it's all about when I define myself internally, who I am internally, never externally, because it's my internal world that determines my external world. Does that make sense? The reason I said I'm a mental being is because I live here. Because when I live here, I'm constantly projecting what I want. When people live out here, they're constantly accepting things, right? That's typically against who they are. So if I live out here in the world, that means I'm fragile. That means if somebody came to me and said, Anthony, you're not going to make it, it'll throw you off. I ain't did none of them. Do you know what I'm saying? It will throw you off. But the thing is that we operate in a world that's so full of negativity until, man, it's everywhere we look. Being an African, come on, what is the message that you see when you watch television and nobody on there looks like you in most cases? There's a symbolic message behind all of that. And until we come to understand who we truly are as a person, and that's the reason why I say this, when you understand who are you as a woman, when you understand who you are as a mother, when you understand who you are, the power, the innate power we talked about that you possess, then and only then will you have the power that's required to go out here in this world and form the world to you and not try to shape yourself to the world. That's a trendsetter. Does that make sense? Because the world will shape around you. I'm here right now because the world is shaping around me. Does that make sense? I did the work to get here.
Right.
I developed myself to get here. You get where I'm coming from?
Yes.
And just the way I did it, you can do the same.
Oh, amen.
You can do the same. All right, did that answer your question?
Yes, it does.
All right, cool. So let's jump on down. So basically we talked about designing your own life because that's really what it's about. We went into decision making, right? We learned how the best decisions are made. We learned that the best decisions are made with logic and emotion. We learned that most people make emotionally based decisions the majority of the time. The majority. Because when we live out here in the world per se, when I say live in the world, I mean those that still care about what other people think. They care about what other people say.
Being in the world, of the world, meaning you don't care about what
Exactly. So if you are influenced